Well, welcome to the class. You are in the class Building Your Business with Reference USA, and we are very happy to have you here. My name is Jennifer, and our chat facilitator today is Meredith. Now, this class is an introduction to the powerful tools in Reference USA. I'm going to move off of this screen while we're talking about this. I am going to show you how to create a targeted list of people or companies for your business. I'm going to show you how you can save that list so you can return to it later and change it based on your new needs. I'm going to show you how to make a list of new businesses or new homeowners. And I'm going to show you how to find a list of people based on their lifestyle, such as a cooking enthusiast or a person has pets. There is just so much to this database that we're really not going to get to everything. And I want to encourage you to explore it further on your own after this class. Okay? So we're going to start off by getting into Reference USA. Now, how do you do that? First, you're going to come here to planolibrary.org. And if you'll notice this, that's the library's homepage. And up here at the top, you will see that it says Learn. We're going to just click on Learn right there. And it takes a little bit for it to kind of pop back to normal. And if you scroll down a little bit, our first little icon here is Research and Learn. I'm going to click on that. Okay, it's going to go back to normal here. And then you'll see that we've got tabs here. And we're going to actually go over to the O to Z tab, which is right here, because everything's alphabetical for us. So you'll see right underneath, everything's alphabetical, and we're going to go down to Reference USA. So we've got Reference USA right here. Okay, and so now we're in Reference USA. Great. What are we going to do now? There's a couple of things we can do, but what we're going to choose to do at first, so I can show you how this works, is we're going to actually come down here to the bottom, and if you'll notice, they have something called personal accounts. We are actually going to register for a personal account, and you would come here to register. And it'll ask you for some general information, not a lot. I've actually already registered, so I'm going to sign in. And okay, sorry about that, y'all. Let me try that again. Okay, let's try that one. Okay. And so whenever we create these lists that I'm going to show you, this is a way to come in and have your saved searches in here. And I'll show you more on that later, but I wanted to show you where that was available. I'm going to actually go ahead and sign out. And one thing I did not get a chance to show you because unfortunately I gotten into this earlier, so it kind of skipped over this. And so what I wanted to show you is when you first try to go into this, it's actually going to ask you to agree to their terms and conditions. So you're going to have to agree to that here, and you're going to have to continue. And then once it does that, it'll actually ask you for your library card number, and then you're going to log in here. So just know that those are two things you're going to have to do. Okay, and so let's get here. And then once you do that, you'll get here to this. Now you can go ahead and log in if you want to, or you can just go straight into whichever database you're trying to use that day. What we're going to show you first here is the first database that most people use, which is US Businesses. Okay, so we're going to click on that. Now what Reference USA is it's basically a list of companies throughout the United States based on what they do, how many employees they have, a lot of different things. And we'll get more into that into advanced search. But let's say you have a company that you want to look up because you want to target them for whatever you're trying to sell. And in this case, we're going to say that the first company we're trying to target is Highland Homes. because we know they're here in Plano, so we're going to try them. So I'm going to type in Highland Homes, and you know, you can capitalize, you don't have to capitalize, it doesn't matter. And then we know they're in Texas, so we're going to try Texas, and we're going to view those results. Okay, so we got some Highland Homes, but if you'll notice, our results up here at the top, we have 100 that came up under Highland Homes. Well, that's not exactly what we wanted. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back here to revise search. And we know that they're actually in Plano because we've seen their building. So we're going to actually put Plano in and see if we can find the one here in Plano. And we're going to view those results. Okay, this is more like it. And we, you know, we're not going to use the one from the loans. We're going to use this one here, which is over on democracy. And actually, if you have a question on if this is your company or not, if you see over here on the right side, you've got the corporate tree, and you can click on that and it will show you which one is the top company and what companies are underneath it. Or if you just want to see which companies are underneath it, you could click on this. So the corporate tree looks like this. Let's see if that'll work for us. And so it shows you the top company at the top and all the companies underneath it right there. We're just going to go back. This is easier. Or you could click on here and it'll show you all the companies underneath the top company. So that's another way to do it. But what we're going to do is we know that we want to talk to the people over at Highland Homes on democracy. So we're going to just click on that and let's see what we get there. We know we're going to sell them something, so let's see if we can find out any information on them that might help us sell them something. At the top, it's going to give us general location information. And if we want to find similar companies to Highland Homes, we could say that we're willing to go out 25 miles outside of that radius to find similar companies. And we could click on that and see what we get. We might get a nice little, sometimes it's a little slow, we might get a nice little list, and we get way too much. So that's not really a good way to do it. So in this case, we're just going to go back and come back here. I'll show you a better way to get a much better list, okay? And then we're going to come down. We're not looking for job listings in this class because this is about how to build your business. So we're just going to collapse that here. So next we're going to look, and the next section is industry profile. So you probably already know about SIC codes and NAICS codes. If you don't, that is basically a government designation of what your business does. If you're paying taxes, you've had to pick out which SIC codes fit your business. So that's what this is. This is a business profile. It gives you a general idea. If you're looking at the company, you probably already know this. So we're going to just collapse that. You can get maps and directions to the business if you want. So you can always expand that if you need to. That is available on the side. And then this is really nice. You kind of get some general business demographics for the company. So you can see how many employees they have, the type of business, is it private or public, their corporate sales, which is always nice. When it came into being, 1985 for this company, and possibly their hours of operation. That might be a little different nowadays. So take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. Over here, it tries to give you the management directory. And so they used to update this. They used to basically circle back around to companies about every 6 months. And then they kind of got a shorter and shorter time until they got to about 6 weeks or so. I do not know where they are at the moment. So you may want to call and confirm this information just to be sure, because things are just changing so rapidly these days. Okay, so but if they know this, or if they think they're pretty sure of their information, they're going to put this in. They're going to tell you what their titles are and the names of people. So at least gives you an in to the company. And then any company news. Now, if it's a bigger company, this is going to be company news all over. It's not necessarily going to be just your one location. So you're going to have to look and see if this is going to actually apply, because this is like from Indiana and Cleveland, and it may or may not apply to the company that you're targeting here. Their business expenditures. This is nice to know if you're going in to try to sell them something. Do they have a big enough advertising budget if you're selling them advertising? Do they have a big enough technology budget if you're going to try to sell them some technology? So this is always great to look at. And then a few little things here and there. This, it kind of depends on what information they might have if this is actually going to apply to you, the sales volume by year and the employees. And then they kind of try to tell you here what their history is, like who their executive has been throughout the years. This is nice. There's a little competitors report at the end. So if you are trying to find companies that are like them, if you come down here to the bottom and look at this competitors report, you might get a nice little list of other companies that you can target. K Hovnanian, DFW Homes, Centennial. Those are also basically local builders too. So that's really nice to know about. Okay. So I'm going to actually go and do a new search now, because while this is nice, what you're probably going to want to do is the advanced search. And if you come here to the advanced search, okay, you can actually make a really nice list of companies to target based on whatever your needs are. I am not entirely sure what all your different businesses are, but what you'll want to do when you come in here is you're going to think of this as all of the companies in the United States, and your job is to come in and narrow it down and decide who you want to target. And there are so many different ways to target. And if you see over here, you've got the record count, which we've got 15 million companies here, and you're going to come down and narrow it down to probably a couple hundred or maybe even like 20 companies. It just depends. And you're going to start your search with this record type here. And it says that the first choice you have is verified businesses. So these are ones that they went in and they actually called them on the phone and they did a quality check on their information. It's really good information, and we're going to choose that, which actually they default by choosing that for you. The next one is you can include unverified businesses. They have some information. They're not quite sure if it's accurate. It's not fully verified, but you may want to include it because these might be startup businesses that they just haven't been able to include. So that will give you, and if you notice here on the right side, they are actually going to update that record count to 58 million. Okay, now the next choice is the closed businesses. So you probably are not going to include that because there's no point. Okay, and then what you do is you come over here to the left side and you'll see that you can narrow that down even more. One way you might want to narrow it down is here under business type, you can choose the keyword SIC, NAICS. That is your next choice. And we are going to do, let me see what we're going to do next here. Okay, so we are going to assume that your business is a daycare. You want to start a daycare. Or you're looking for daycares, I'm sorry. You have a product that you're going to sell to daycares. Okay, so we can actually just put daycare in there under search. And it's going to look for daycares. And if you see here, we've got child care services. And if we click on it, it's going to put here down here where it says selected. Maybe we want adults as opposed to children. I don't know. You're going to have to come in here and decide. Maybe camps are going to work. Whatever works for you, you come in here and you click on it and it will put it on your selected right below. So we're actually going to choose some children's after school programs too. We're actually going to take that out. Okay. And so that's what you'll want to do. You want to get everything selected, and up here at the top, you can do update count. And now we've narrowed that down to 274,000. So that's not bad. Okay. So what do we want to do next? We want to come here to geography, and we want to say we only want things in our general area. So we're going to look up metro area. So we're going to click on that. We're going to come down here and we're going to say, okay, we want ones in Texas, and we just want things in the DFW area. Actually, technically, we want them in the Plano area. So if we put Plano on there, it doesn't come up. But there's a reason, and that's because I chose metro area. And if you come over here, it's going to give you some little search tips, and it's going to tell you that an MSA, Metropolitan Statistical Area, is defined by the Federal Office of Management and Budget. So again, it's a government-defined area, and so we have to use the terms that they use. In this case, Dallas-Fort Worth, we kind of all know that. So it's actually going to be under Dallas-Fort Worth. So we're going to choose that. It's going to be over here. We can update that count. Okay, we're down to 6,000. Great. So we're getting this really focused. So what you're doing here is you're just focusing, 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 focusing. It's great. Okay. So we could choose phone if that's important to you, street addresses, neighborhoods. You might want to do number of employees. You only want to choose companies that have a certain number of employees because for whatever reason. So you might want ones that are above certain numbers. So we want that. We're going to update that count. Okay, we're down to 451. Excellent. We're going to come over here. Maybe you want sales volume, and you can see what those choices are. They need to make, you know, maybe less than 500,000, or maybe they need to make more than 500,000 a year. That's up to you. Whatever works for you, and we can update that count. Okay, that's a much more reasonable list. And then if you noticed, we can choose other things. And again, it just depends on what your product is as to which ones of these will be important to you. What I like is this last little area, which is the exclusions. Okay, so let's say, well, we had to choose the whole Dallas-Fort Worth area, but we know there's like certain cities we're just not going to go to. In this case, we're going to choose to omit Fort Worth, and that's because it's just too far. We can't drive that far. It's too much, so we're going to go in and tell it, okay, I just want to not go to Fort Worth. Let me find my Fort Worth in here. There it is. Okay. And we're going to update that count. Okay, so now we're down to 219. There's other little cities throughout that you could also come in. You could choose more than Fort Worth, and you just click on those. But 219 is not a bad count. And so these are companies that you can go to, that you can target to sell your product to. So we're going to view the results. Okay, so up here on the left side, that's our results, 219. And you can see this nice little list. So we already went into one, and I showed you with Highland Homes all the different things you can get from it. So we know that's what we want. Okay, so what we have to do when we decide that this is the list and we want a copy of it, we then have to decide how do we want the copy of it. What we can do is we can either do a saved search, we can print it out, we can download it. It's up to us how we want that. So let's say we choose a little list. Let's see, we choose a couple of them. You do have to go to each page. We've got 9 pages here. You do have to go to each page to select them. They'll select 25 at a time, and you can kind of see that where it kind of pops that up, and we're gonna take that back down to about 50 of them. Okay, so now what we wanna do, we decide, okay, we wanna print it. So I'm gonna click on that. Oh, we have a little bit of a problem because it's only giving me the choice of summary. I can only get a summarized report. But if you read right below here, it says, please limit to 25 records for detailed and custom print options. So if I want to do the custom or the detailed, I'm going to have to limit it to just 25 when I print. So I'm going to go back, and I don't really like that option, so I'm not going to print. But maybe I want to save it. So let's go into Save Search. And of course, it tells me I need to sign in because I signed out. So let's try that again. And I'm going to sign in. And it tricks you because I have it selected, but it didn't actually save. It didn't show me that it saved. So if you do that and you sign in later, don't forget to go back and hit save search again, because you won't get your information if you don't. Okay, so this was the child care centers. Okay, so I'm going to choose that and I'm going to hit save. And your search has been successfully saved. Excellent. And we can go back and see that later. But what I'm looking at right now is I want to actually look at the download. I've got 50 companies chosen, and I want to download them at this point. Okay, so this is where we have some choices to make. Comma delimited, it is the most popular, and it's a good one to choose because it will basically go into any type of spreadsheet. So if you're using it with Google Sheets, even if you're using it with Excel, it'll go into that. It goes into a lot of different database types programs. So this is a good choice. Step 2, this is where we have to choose, are we going to do summary, detailed, or custom? If you do detailed, it's going to include all the data, and that's a lot of data. So I actually don't recommend detailed. I actually recommend going into the custom, okay? You can do a saved export format. We're not going to actually do that. What we're going to do is we're just going to come down here, and I'm going to show you. You can choose from all of these choices, and look how many there are. There are so many. And as you choose them, they'll come over here into this list, and this is everything we've chosen. So far, they give you 8, and so it tells you here how many fields you selected, and you just kind of come through here and you choose whatever information you might want. And if you don't want it, you just click on this little remove, and it will remove that selection. And then, whenever you've gotten everything great, you just download the records, or you can email them, but generally you're going to download them. And it just gives you a nice little Excel spreadsheet. I'm not going to show you that because I'm not set up to do that at the moment. Exit out of there. Okay. So that gives you an idea of how to go through and set up some nice little lists for your companies. Does anybody have any question at this point? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is come back here. And if you'll remember, I had signed in. So when I come back here, I come back to my home screen, not the general home screen. But this is where I can show you. Remember, we just created that child care centers list? It is right here. So I can come here and I can delete it. I can see how many I had. I can go back into it and change it if I need to, and then resave it. And it's great. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Well, actually, I'm going to show you here at the top first. If you'll notice, it says find a business, find a consumer, find a job. We're not worried about the find a job part, but find a consumer. You're probably going to sign in, so you'll probably come here and use one of these. I'm going to show you how to do that from the general screen. So I'm going to sign out here. Just know that it's the same information, it just looks a little different whenever you sign in. That's what I wanted to show you there. Okay, so if you come in here, we just went into the US businesses. Now we're going to go into, let's see, which one was I doing next? I think I'm going to do this one next. The homeowners. Yes, that's the next one. Okay. So let's say you now decide that for whatever you're selling, your company's selling, you really want to target people who have just moved or have just moved into a new home. So that's what this is. And these are people who have just fairly recently moved. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to say Joe Smith. Sorry, Joe Smith. And let's see, maybe they're in Plano. Let's find out. And maybe they're in Texas. Okay. And if you see down here, you can just show all the results, or you can choose from the last year, from the last 2 months. It depends on how timely your product is. You know, you always get those list from dentists. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. So maybe people within the last 6 months. And in particular, we are looking for this Joe Smith guy. Let's see, we're going to view the results. Okay, in this case, it's going to show. I'm not so surprised because we're looking in a very specific way. It often will not work if you're too specific. So in this case, let's see if this will even work. I'm not, okay. What did I have? Okay. I think I did this. Okay, there we go. So these are all the John Smiths who moved recently in Texas. Now, generally, you're not going to look for one person. So I just wanted to show you how that one worked and to show you what they give you here. Now, they do tell you at the top to be very wary of the telephone numbers you're going to see on here because they may be on a do not call list. And your company does not want to be caught calling people on the do not call list. And it does note that you are responsible for the compliance with all federal, state, and local laws. So be aware of that. Okay, so if you did, for whatever reason, want to contact this John Smith, you would click on his name, and this is the information that they're going to give you. They're going to give you his metro area, what they might possibly know about him, his address, if he's the homeowner, and then they're going to give you general neighborhood information. So people in this neighborhood will generally make between 150 to 174,000. Their estimated home values are generally between 125 and 149,000. And their average age, estimated age, for this guy is like 55 to 59. You know, take that with a grain of salt. It's what they generally know about people in that neighborhood. Okay, so we're going to go back. So that was our list. But, you know, this isn't really what you need. What you probably need, let me go into new search here, is the advanced search. And this is where you get into the really good stuff. Again, this works just like it worked with the companies. But in this case, we're looking at people, and we're trying to generate a list of people we can target. So we have 17 million people in this particular part of the database. And we are going to come over here, and we are going to narrow it down by whatever we want to. And that will be based on what your product is. If we want to narrow it down generally by geographic area. So you can see we've got geography here. We're going to do, this is fun, the map-based search. Okay, so if you click on that, you come up here, it says map-based search. It gives you a little explanation. We're going to open the map. Okay, so hopefully y'all can see that. Meredith, let me know if we're not able to see that. So you can see up here, that's our result, 17 million. We're going to zoom down. So now we want to zoom down to our general area. We're going to do zip code. So I'm going to do the Parr Library area. I'm going to go. So this is generally where the Parr Library is. Actually, this is pretty much all of Plano. Okay, so that's a little too broad for us, right? Because we really want a very narrow area. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here and narrow down. I'm going to scroll in a little bit. Okay, this is a little better. Now what we could do is we could draw a shape. Okay, so do you see that up here and select your area, draw a shape? And if you come over here, your cursor is going to tell you, click to place points, double click to finish. Ooh, this is fun. Okay, so we're going to like click here, and then we're going to go click there and there and there, and we're going to get a really, really weird shape. That's probably not quite what we want, but that's okay. It's kind of fun. Okay, so now we're done. So we're going to double click. Okay, that's our area. It's a really bad area. I would not recommend this. But over here on the left side, it's going to tell us we have 1,492 in our results in this general area, and then shape 1. Okay, that's great. And when we're done, we would click done. And then it has to think about it for a sec. This is a little slow. Okay. There we go. Okay. So there's our shape 1, and we have 1492. We could then come in here and choose like home ownership. We want a confirmed homeowner, or maybe we want renters. Who knows? We might come down here and decide that we want estimated home values. So we only want people whose home value is more than $125,000. And so we could just kind of click until we're happy. We might want estimated income. We really only want people who make more than $100,000 because our product's a little bit expensive. So we're going to go and click on all those. Oops. So we've gotten all those chosen. And so we could update that count and see where we are on that. So that gives us 46 people. That's not bad for some people. So now what we're going to do, though, is we're going to go back to that map because we noticed that wasn't really quite what we wanted to do. So what we could do is we could clear that all out. We're going to clear it. And we're going to define our radius. And so we want to start here. So we're just going to, it says click, whoops, sorry. It says, yeah, we're going to define the radius. It says click a center point and drag mouse to make a radius. So let's say we want this as our radius. That's not too bad. That gave us 60 results. Maybe we want to do a boundary selection. So maybe we want some zip codes. Oh, look, behind there, it gave us zip codes that we can choose. And we're going to choose some zip codes. I'm going to scroll out a little so you can see what I'm doing. So there's some zip codes that we can choose. And look, it lets you choose both the radius and the zip codes. And over here on the left side, it gives you all those different choices. I'm going to return to the tools. You can do a driving route. If you want to tell it, I'm starting here and I'm ending here, give me those. I'm not going to do that one though. We're going to go back. And so we have 863 results. That's not bad. We can also even draw some shapes on top of it all. So let's try that. And that will add to it. Now, whenever you're doing yours, it'll be much more controlled and you'll have it much more defined than this is. But I wanted to show you all the different possibilities there. So we're going to say that's great. Okay, so our count is 1,453. We're going to review those results. And those are all the people that we can advertise to and try to sell our product. If we're happy with that, and it's the same thing. We would click on that and choose all the people that we want, no matter, or depending on where they are. And then we can either save the search, print the search, download it, whatever we want to do. You can also kind of go into, let's see if this is going to do with what I, you can go to the heat map and see where all the different ones are. Sorry, it's a little bit too out. Let's go narrow that down. Okay. Ah, there we go. Okay, so there they all are. So this is the heat map where it shows where everything is. All the ones that we selected, all the 1,400 that we selected, we can see how close they are to transportation or how close they are to schools. And you can see the schools in the blue, or how close they are to convenience stores. They're in the green. It just depends on what you're looking for. It's really, it's hard to know what everybody is doing. So I'm not sure which of this is going to apply to what you're trying to do. You can also look at charts. This is fun. Oh, let's see, city. Okay, new homeowners. A lot of them were in Plano. Some of them were in Carrollton, then the Colony, then Louisville, then Frisco. And you can kind of see that in that little chart there, which is kind of fun to see. And that was last year. You can do in the last 2 weeks and how that changes your look, or last month. Okay. Is it save search by page only? We had a question, does it save search by page only? I said it can only print one page at a time, but if you save it, no, it will save. Okay, very good question. Okay, if you look down here at the bottom, and it's really tiny print, you can do 250 downloads, or it says prints, but it doesn't. It saves up to 250 businesses or people in your saved searches or your downloads. So that Excel spreadsheet would have like 250 lines of people or businesses. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, so generally you're going to want to do download or save search. Generally download. Okay. Now, so that gives you your new movers, your people who have just recently moved, or your people who have just recently purchased a home. There's one other thing in here that can also be helpful. Okay, and I just went back up here to Reference USA at the top and got back here to the main screen. And the other thing that may be helpful is U.S. consumers and lifestyles. So we're going to go into that. And again, it's the same look to it. So y'all understand, I think now, how that works. And in this case, I'm going to skip the quick search. We're going to go to advanced search. Okay. So we have 317 million people because this is consumers, and it's based on what people's lifestyle is. So we're going in and we're saying, okay, contacts per household. We want all the contacts because they do their best on this. I'm not entirely sure how accurate it's going to be because people are not as free with their information sometimes as a business might like. Okay, so let's say we want to do, in this case, we have geography again. A lot of times people will pick geography is how they want to target an area. In this case, I'm going to pick neighborhood because we haven't seen that yet. So if you go into neighborhood, you're going to pick Texas. Okay. We're going to pick, again, they tell us metro area, and we know from before that metro area is Dallas-Fort Worth for us. So we're going to pick Dallas-Fort Worth. And then if you notice, right below, they chose something. Let's see, somebody's wanting us to pick Independence Square. Let's see if it's on there. Good question. Okay, and you can see all these different ones. And I see some Cross Creek ones. Oh, I did see some Cross Creek ones. It's really hard to go through this very easily. But I want you to know that it's available if you really want to do this. Let's see. Oh, let's see. I just went past the eyes. See if this will work. What am I doing? It's hard to do this. Okay, let's try. Okay, and so you can see, like, we've got Grapevine in there, we've got Burleson in there. Don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the eyes. Hillcrest. Oh my goodness. Okay, so, oh, hey. And there's Interlochen. We know that they're in Arlington. They're the people who do the Christmas lights. Okay, here we go. Independence Square in Plano. Hey, there we go. We did it. Yes, I could actually have typed that in, but I want you to see how crazy that is to try to do something like that. We're going to do two of them. We're going to do both Independence Square and Independence Village because I'm kind of a little scared about what we're going to get. Actually, no, I'll just take Independence Village out. Let's see. Let's update the count. 934. Not too bad. Okay, we'll leave it at that. But yes, I could have typed in Independence Square right here in the filter choices. So we're going to narrow it down to that. And so that's our geography. You might want to choose like your estimated home value. So you might want to, say that this is really going to appeal to homeowners that have at least a house that's worth at least $250,000. So we'll try that. We'll go a little bit above because, it doesn't hurt to go a little bit above. Okay. And then we're going to see what our count is. Okay, 906. That's not too bad. You can also come in here if you happen to know, like, your product is really going to appeal more to the 50+ crowd or the 30 to 40 crowd. you know, just depends on what your product is, or over 30 crowd or something like that. So you can come in here and you can say that. If you update the count, we've narrowed it down to 509. And it just depends on at what point you want to cut that off or not. And then you've got other choices here. You've got gender, you've got language, you've got religion, politics, female, male, years in the home, years that the home's been built. So maybe your product helps an older home, so that might help. And again, with the omit, which we do like this. And so you, again, might come in here and say, I don't really want to go, and this is county. Let me go to county. So maybe I just don't really even want to go to Tarrant County. So you might choose Tarrant County in this case. And again, okay, filter choices, I can say Tarrant here. And there it comes up. So that helps. So we still have 509, but that's another choice. So let's view those results. The data, somebody's asking me, where does the data come from for Reference USA? They started out with Yellow Pages, and that's where their main database originally came from, and then they would call the companies. And that's what I know. I'm sure that they have other sources, but a lot of times companies will register with the state, so they probably contact the state too. And a lot of times people who get mortgages, that is also reported through the county and through the state and everything. And so they probably get them through the county and state rolls. Okay, so then we come, where was I? Sorry. I got off onto something, the wrong side. Okay. Okay, here we go. View results. Why is this putting me here? Summary design allows you to view your, okay, this did not give me this choice yesterday. Okay. Let's try that. Okay, this is not what I was expecting. I'm sorry. I do not know why I'm here. I'm going to remove some of this. I usually have like a, here we go. Okay. I'm going to take off some of that. If the person who's asking that question wants a little bit more detailed, just give us your email address and I can email you and we can kind of work through whatever your actual search was, and I can help you with that. So just let me know. Okay, so usually you get to this. And so we've got 906 results. And again, you see that it's people. Now this is we're in the lifestyle or consumer one. So if you look on this person, I do not know this person. It's going to tell you where they live. It's going to give you in their neighborhood estimated income is 150 to 174. It tells you right here, estimated household income and estimated home value are information gathered from the most recent census and collated with Info Group proprietary data. So their proprietary data. So it's coming from basically government type of questionnaires and different things that people have to go through the government for. So that's where they're getting a lot of this. Their estimated home values in this neighborhood are 300 to 349,000, and percentage of owner-occupied housing. Current home income is probably this, but not necessarily. So take all this with a little bit of a grain of salt. Now, this person does not have a lot in their lifestyle interests, so they may or may not work for you. We're going to go back. Okay, let's see if we can find somebody who has some things. Sometimes they'll have a lot, sometimes they'll have a few things. Sometimes they won't have anything. So this person who lives here in this neighborhood, they have the most interest, according to this company. They are interested in beauty and cosmetics. They are a catalog shopper. They are an internet user. So if your product is from the internet, you may want to try to target some ads to them. Okay. And it looks like Diana put in information in our chat box telling us what is behind the population of Reference USA. Diana, do you think you could actually send that out to the whole group?
Sure.
Thank you. So if you want to find out more information on where all this information comes from, that will tell you. Okay, so that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of how Reference USA works. Does anybody have any questions at this point? I know I had a couple of stumbles there, so sorry about that. Now the email addresses, somebody is asking about the email addresses. What's interesting about the email addresses is if you click on this, it's actually kind of an ad for Reference USA. And if you see this, it's, can you see that where it says email addresses are not available for viewing or output on Reference USA? And so you would actually have to pay for them through Reference USA. Unfortunately, it's not something that they sell to us through what we have access to. As nice as that would be. Thank you, Diane. Diana just put out the link if you're interested in that. And then it also kind of explains a little bit here at the front about what this does. Okay, so who would you call about that? You would contact the company themselves if you're wanting to get the email addresses. And if you click on the little ad there, it tells you there's an email address there, reference@infogroup.com, and they can tell you more information about their website and how to get more information directly from them. There is a price in that case. I don't know how much they charge. Okay. Now what, and then Meredith is also telling you their contact information. Okay, what I wanted to leave you with is here on our website, which is planolibrary.org. If you go into About, and in the middle of the page, it says Help from a Librarian. If you'll go into that. If you have further questions on this, we have Ask a Librarian if you just have a short question, or if you need to sit down and actually have a one-on-one, in this case it would be a virtual one-on-one, it would be online, you can do Book a Librarian for a 30-minute appointment with a librarian if you're interested. And that was just under planolibrary.org and then under About here at the top. And then in the middle, Help from a Librarian. I want to thank everybody for coming, and that's the end of our class. I appreciate it.